Hi, everybody. I'm Megan Thompson, and I'm here to talk about a theme that I've been noticing in my conversations with parents or my work with parents regarding sensory sensitivity. And this is the fourth component of the personality trait, being highly sensitive, and I wanted to take some time to break that down for you guys. I know that I did spend some time going over all four parts of the trait in my two-part series because the video got cut out. But what I'm going to focus on today is a theme that I've been noticing for parents. Because the weather's warming up, I really wanted to break this down because parents start to notice if their highly sensitive child is sensitive to tactile things like tags on clothing, tight clothes, tight, jeans, shorts, whatever. The change of seasons always brings about a big, intense emotions for the whole family with a highly sensitive child when we're thinking about changing clothes and things like that, because it's a shift to the season. You finally find yourself getting used to this new, wardrobe. You're done wearing long pants. Now we're moving into shorts, and you have to feel like you have to start all over again and get your kid used to wearing shorts. And so what's important to note here is that I hear a lot from parents that they end up finding what works. We think about looking at the path of least resistance. I like to joke that the highly sensitive child uniform is Under Armour for boys, and or for kids who identify as boys, or comfortable clothes. For girls, it could be dresses because they don't like the tight waist, whatever. And so there's the important balance here is identifying that you're not just going with the path of least resistance because that's what's easy. What we're doing here is helping your child identify that even though they are sensitive to that sensation, and so here we're talking about tactile sensitivity with the clothes, but the same goes for smells, the same goes for bright lights, the same goes for other sensitivities. If your child is having meltdowns because of their sensitivity and you're certain that they don't have sensory processing disorder, maybe you've had them evaluated by an occupational therapist, or when calm, they're able to tolerate the intense light so their brain doesn't react in a confused, panic state every time they experience these sensations. And then that is an indicator that your child is highly sensitive rather than having sensory processing disorder. That's the short version. But when we look at the five senses and the other sensations in the body, and if your child is sensitive to those and you're certain your kiddo is an HSC, then you're missing the mark if you are just working on how to accommodate your child's sensitivities. It's important for you to be aware that somebody's getting trained in this situation, and if it could very well be just you. And what we're talking about here is identifying, balancing that your child is sensitive while also recognizing that they need to try new things. And if you're in a cycle of consistently creating a situation where you're protecting your child from their sensitivities and protecting your child from those sensations by, buying only the clothes that they're willing to wear, by helping your child avoid, smelly things, by not cooking around them because they can't stand any smells, then that's a clear indicator that you are walking on eggshells. And if that's the case, then you're being trained too. You're being trained to not be able to tolerate your own child's discomfort because your child is not able to tolerate their discomfort. And that is a lifelong skill that is necessary for highly sensitive children, but for people in general. We all need to be able to tolerate discomfort as long as it's not creating physical pain and when our boundaries are not being violated. Because when that happens, we need to be able to advocate for our needs, and we also need to be able to prioritize our needs. And so, for the same reason that I don't wear an itchy wool sweater a lot of the time, there are times that I wear an itchy wool sweater because it's freezing and I don't want my appendages to fall off if I'm skiing. The same concern here for your highly sensitive child is if you are finding ways to shelter your child from sensitivity because you don't have the skills to help them move through that that intensity and find ways to gradually acclimate themselves within reason. Obviously, we're identifying that there's some sensitivities that we need to help your child advocate for themselves so they don't experience that sensation. But what we're talking about here is finding a way for you to identify with your child that they can move through that sensation and find a way to deal with it. Now, it's important for parents to identify and understand that what I'm getting at here is not telling your kid to suck it up. Highly sensitive children feel the sensation more intensely than those of us who are not highly sensitive. And so we do not invalidate it by saying, suck it up, you got to wear this, or suck it up, you have to deal with the smell. But what we're doing is teaching your child, given the intense sensation, that they have the ability to find a way to tolerate that or to decrease the intensity. And that is more nuanced than what I'm going to be able to get into today. And if you need help figuring that out, then we can talk about it one-on-one. But what I think is very important for you to be aware of is that if you find yourself escaping, and if you're watching live, say hi. If you're catching this on the replay, hashtag replay, let me know that you're watching. If you catch yourself protecting your child from those emotions, protecting your child from the sensation that then creates unpleasant emotions or extreme reactions, then you're perpetuating the problem, because the underlying issue is that your child is not able to tolerate discomfort and is not able to advocate or communicate that in an effective way. And if that's the case, then you're getting trained to walk on eggshells. And when that happens, this problem just perpetuates. It perpetuates with other behaviors. It perpetuates with meltdowns. It perpetuates with school behaviors. It perpetuates in the community. And then by the time parents get on the phone with me, they're skipping out on family events. They're, shopping and buying the same clothes over and over and over again have no way of getting their kid to church without sweatpants. There are things that we have to help your highly sensitive child adjust to within the awareness and holding in your heart the sense of security that even though your child is highly sensitive, they can still find ways to meet their needs and exist in the world with other non-highly sensitive people. And I think that's very important, and it's a nuanced thing and I know that I'm going to stir the pot here a little bit, because some parents will say, well, I'm just going to, who cares if my kid wears Under Armour all day? But then on the flip side, if you need to take your kid shoe shopping and it's taking you 3 hours and it always ends in tears, then there's a problem. So it's very important for you to identify that this issue doesn't go beyond. It goes beyond the sensitivity. It goes beyond the sensory sensitivity here. It's important for you to be aware of that, because you need to help your child try those new things without getting overwhelmed. And if you haven't found a way to do that, then that is a clear indicator that you're struggling in that moment. So the stretch here is creating a system for your family so that you can help your child acclimate themselves to their sensitivities, acclimate themselves to things that trigger their sensitivities or sensitive reactions, and then find ways to advocate for themselves and find ways to set boundaries around that. And that is a very important life skill that your child needs to learn. And so when we identify that, we learn that your child is one of several in the household. And what's important to notice is that parents will breed resentment in the home if they feel like they're constantly walking on eggshells. And so identify how you're training yourself to then eventually resent or dread time with your child, because you're lacking the skill of being able to help your child gradually adjust to new things, or to things that startle them, or to things that feel intense for their bodies. So I hope that this sparks some contemplation for you and helps you identify what it is that you're struggling with, and why just focusing on finding the right clothes for your kiddo, or finding the right materials, or only going to restaurants that aren't smelly, is not helpful in the long run for your child. So if you have questions about that, or if you feel like you need more support in addressing that, then let's chat. And I have the wrong link right there. And we can get on a call, see what you're struggling with, and help you identify what it is that you need to do differently to change the dynamic in your household. So I hope that this was helpful. I know it was quick. Well, quick for me is 10 minutes for you guys, because I want to get thorough enough for you to really get some clear idea of what's going on here. But I got to run. So thanks and have a good night.